After entering the space of the Black Book, I found another evil god located above this space. Just as I was still complaining about the Black Book, this evil god suddenly asked me if I needed strength. I was very nervous about this evil god, and didn't immediately answer his question. However, after seeing a piece of paper handed to it by the Black Book, it changed its mind again. In order to save the maid who was in trouble, I had to accept the power of the evil god. At this moment, the god of love has noticed my changes. When Moen asked Black Book if there was a way to save Anne, who was trapped in the bloody quagmire, Black Book guided him to look above the space. Although Moen was not sure why Black Book did this, he still looked up at the sky. Suddenly, he noticed a huge eye in the sky. This eye has golden pupils and is surrounded by red and gold flames all over its body. From a distance, it looks like a burning fireball. It silently stared at Moen standing on the ground, as if it had been observing him for a long time. Seeing these huge eyes, Moen was very surprised. He froze in place and didn't dare to move. He whispered, "This scorching pressure, burning giant eyes. This." He seemed startled by the appearance and shape of this eye. This fireball-like eye shakes the flames around it and radiates its heat towards him. He could also clearly feel the temperature on his face gradually rising. Suddenly, Moen felt a sharp discomfort in his head, as if something had been forcibly pushed into his mind. He couldn't help but close his eyes. At this moment, several red texts gradually appeared in his mind. Lord of the Crimson Sun, Incinerator of all, God of World's End, Destroyer of Life, Bringer of the Final Apocalypse, King of Wither. These few paragraphs seemed to be an introduction to the huge eye in front of him. Moen realized that this eye was not something else, but another evil god besides God of Love. Moen lifted his hands and covered his face. Faced with this huge evil god, his emotions were very complicated at this moment. He lowered his head, showing a nervous expression, and said, "There is an evil god, Black Book." Upon hearing Moen's call, Black Book flew from behind to in front of him, silently waiting for Moen's instructions. It thought he had some questions to ask it. Suddenly, Moen forcefully grabbed the Black Book and shook it up and down. He looked at it with an angry expression and cursed loudly. "Damn it! I ask you to tell me the way to save Anne, not to find another evil god for me. That's the King of Wither. Are you seriously suggesting we play games like lure the tiger to eat the wolf and just profit from their fight? I'm telling you, I'll have a heart attack from fear long before that tiger even shows up." Moen didn't expect that Black Book would cause him a big trouble. At this moment, he had no fighting power. If he wants to fight it, he definitely can't defeat it. Black Book was a bit surprised by Moen's reaction, but couldn't find a suitable explanation. At this moment, King of Wither shook the flames around it and sprayed some flames towards Moen's back. In an instant, Moen was surrounded by flames. Moen could clearly feel the temperature on his back. He stopped shaking the Black Book and stood still in this position. He was so nervous that he dared not move, afraid that the next move would anger King of Wither. King of Wither stared carefully at Moen standing on the ground with his fiery eye and said to him, "Human." "Yes, sir." Upon hearing the call of King of Wither, Moen immediately straightened up and stood up. He slowly lifted his head and looked at it very nervously. His body trembled slightly due to fear. Perhaps due to the high temperature around him, or perhaps because of his current mood. His face and body were constantly sweating. He stammered out a question to it. "Ah, Mr. Wither. No, Wither God, what do you need from me? Just tell me. As long as it's something I can help, I will definitely." Before Moen could finish speaking, King of Wither asked him, "Do you want to gain power?" In an instant, several fiery eyes appeared around King of Wither. They all stared at Moen together, as if waiting for his answer. Moen was able to feel the oppression brought by the King of Wither very directly. The sudden appearance of a few eyes made him even more afraid. He closed his eyes, forced an awkward smile at the King of Wither, and stammered out a few words to him. This is your power." He couldn't think of how to answer its question for a moment. Moen turned his head and glanced nervously at the black book floating behind him. He felt a bit speechless about the solution it had found. He silently said in his heart, "Bro, is this really the method you found to save Anne? Are you even capable? I know it takes magic to defeat magic. But what's the point of driving away one evil god only to have another take its place?" Then, Moen changed back to a smiling face and looked at King of Wither. He rubbed his hands in fear and continued speaking to it. "Who wouldn't want power, right? Especially yours. At this moment, Black Book seemed to have thought of something. It uses its magic to quickly flip pages and takes out one of the pages from the book. It directed the paper to float towards the King of Wither. After noticing the actions of the Black Book, Moen was very surprised. He said to it, "Ah, Black Book, what are you doing?" He was worried that the Black Book would do something offensive to the King of Wither. King of Wither looked down and noticed a piece of paper wrapped in purple-black energy floating in front of it. It carefully reads the content on the paper with its huge eyes. The other few eyes also leaned in to look at the paper. Tisk. After reading the content of this paper, King of Wither narrowed his eyes slightly and made a dissatisfied sound. The flames around it also trembled, as if expressing its current mood. It seems to feel a bit disgusted with the content on paper. After seeing King of Wither's reaction, Moen felt very flustered. He covered his head with his hands and scratched his hair very nervously. He showed a frightened expression and silently said in his heart, "Even if it doesn't have a face, I can know it's clearly showing a disgusted expression. It seems angry. What did you show him?" However, Black Book looked at King of Wither very calmly, seemingly not worried that King of Wither would be very angry. At this moment, King of Wither suddenly said to Moen, "Transaction completed." Upon hearing King of Wither's words, Moen was greatly surprised. He slightly widened his eyes and looked at it. "Eh? What did you say?" The King of Wither slowly approached Moen with his huge eyes. The few eyes around it silently stared at Moen, as if they also wanted to hear his answer. Perhaps its emotions have changed, and the flames around it are burning brighter. The space of the black book has directly turned into a sea of fire. However, it does not care about this situation. It continued to speak to Moen. I can lend you my power for free. But can you really accept the power of the evil god? King of Wither widened his eyes and looked at Moen. Its pupils have become shaped like stars and emit strong light outward. This seems to indicate that its emotions have changed again. Referred to by humans. Upon hearing King of Wither's words, Moen slowly lowered his head. He fell into contemplation with a serious expression. He had never come into contact with any evil god before, nor had he received any power from any evil god. In order to save Anne, he must make a decision.